Hi, my name is Noel Vega Jr., and this is my slide deck on my vision statement in my pursuit and future aspirations of becoming an elementary school teacher. This slide deck is going to dig further into the cultural awareness of an educator in an educational environment. So, my first vision statement pertains to learners and hidden curriculum. Um, Verbatim here. My intentionality will inspire learning to students and merit each individual student's experience, knowledge, and potential into the classroom. Our aspiration will collaborate in the learning environment by provoking interest in discovering beyond our academic standards, as a hidden curriculum is revealed in opportunities to enhance learning, both educational and personal. And what I really want to get into this was to kind of extract the hidden curriculum within the educational environment, and how do I utilize that as an asset to the learnings that I'm teaching to my students. And with that said, and utilizing what I have learned from the students, I really want to form a partnership in it. This collaboration between student and teacher shouldn't be one-sided. It definitely should be two-sided. And I really want to gain their experience, their knowledge, and to really evoke their potential for academic success, but not only that, to personally grow as well. So that would be my, extreme intentionality in not only evaluating what type of learners my students are, but to extract that hidden curriculum, eliminate it, and allow a welcoming and accepting culture that will really entice learning. My next slide here is pertaining to the learning environment, concept of space, uh, place, and material culture. My direction will be to establish and sustain a classroom culture that is welcoming and accepting of all students through space design and material artifacts essential to the educational environment. I will exploit the curriculum into meaningful lessons that will engage with students' diverse cultures that will motivate growth in critical thinking, activism, and personal development. And what I love about this picture is it really highlights how well the educational environment really pertains and displays for the students' personality. As you can see here, there are a variety of different seating and desk arrangements that really kind of highlight the three terms that I mentioned at the end of my vision statement, which is critical thinking, activism, and personal development. And what I love about that is I want to exploit that as much as I can. The potential of students is there, but how do we as educators establish that? And I think seating and space design is extremely important in doing that, as well as presenting a welcoming and accepting culture. As you see in this picture here, it's decorated very well, but within my classroom, I'm going to be more cultural diverse in what I'm hanging up there, and not pertain to the status quo um, or the majority of culture that is sustained in our environment. I would love students to envision themselves within what is hung up, as well as within the seating areas as well. And it just brings a great opportunity to enhance learning through this concept. I think will be beneficial not only for the short term and academic success, but grade to grade as well as future aspirations career wise. The achievement gap and cultural bias. My intent is to create a curriculum to be challenging, informative, and meet the expectations of students that I set. I will advocate for cultural differences to be displayed by my students in conversations and assignments that will encourage students to learn more. With this said, my approach would be transparent and my focus on multi, multicultural education with explore subcultures within the culture set in a classroom. And one of the biggest areas of opportunity that I see is closing that achievement gap. And how do I do that as a future educator? And it's really exploring how do I take the curriculum that is being learned in elementary settings, and really extracting that. Conway did a great job in her book, Black Anti-Buddhist, and doing that, and kind of bringing those opportunities to reality, to life. And I really want to challenge myself into doing that. And by allowing myself to do that, it's also challenging my students as well, as I'm looking to approach a more low socioeconomic educational environment. Those standards and those expectations are are the status quo, essentially being low. And I want to change that, especially with the class that I will endure maybe my first couple of years. I have the opportunity to really test myself and seeing if I can kind of break that mold and bring academic success to a high level, but also bring kind of a change in the way things are done at that school level. And with that being said, also kind of highlights what cultural bias is within those within the district or within the school district here, as we've seen most recently the segregation of schools due to economic levels being one of the most volatile concerns moving forward, as educational value comes into play. When you look at low socioeconomic educational environments or schools, we're looking at low expectations, but also low educational value compared to the neighboring ones outside of um, that inner circle that's extremely segregated to diverse races such as Hispanics and African Americans that really that hinder their upward mobility as far as academic success is concerned. As we dive into culture as a disability, I aim to invite cultural diversity within the classroom environment by engaging with students on topics beyond the curriculum. This will explore different cultures based around lessons, discussions, and assignments, embracing cultural differences among us. Setting my expectations and goals within the classroom by eliminating any cultural conflict by my inclusion of all cultures and not solely on the dominant culture. And this is really specific to how do we how do we how do we look at cultural adaptability and forming that integration in a teacher standpoint? That is really a main goal. How do we get the culture that the students' culture that they come into, and kind of bring that assimilation to be more integrated within our culture here. And by doing that, I really want to be extremely open to and engaging with different cultures and how diverse I can be within the curriculum and as with conversations and how I interact with students. That will allow those comfortability to set foot and a relationship to actually build to the point where those are becoming more natural and allow that inclusion to come in and not feel that dominant culture is overseeing a majority of what the educational experience will be within the culture that I set within the classroom. Pop culture and core rituals. I want to propel forward in infusing pop culture with my curriculum to allow students to be divergent thinkers and promote fun while learning. My intentionality in understanding core rituals is a must. I must be I will be an astute role model in engaging with students on how events affect them, communicating different rituals, and understanding the value and meaning of human activities. And I love this. I love the design here on the right, where it is how we take three different aspects and seeing how they can fuse together as one. And I think that's extremely important as a future teacher. And how do I, as a teacher, an educator, really look at designing or creating a process of implementing the pop culture into play? And how do I make current events more relevant within my curriculum and within my design as well? And my intentionality is to understand those rituals and those special actions that come about with each and every student and really engage in conversation with them. And that in turn really impacts not only the definition of culture, as we look at it as a thinking, behavior, movement, etc., emotions, um, but that culture is integrated, that can actually be, you know, trans transversal to the culture that they introduce at home. And it's very inviting to see that this opportunity in bringing uh, current events into the classroom, I think is a huge, huge advantage into understanding the value and meaning of human activities when we look at being culturally diverse within the classroom. Here are my references, that I utilized throughout the slideshow. Thank you.